And a limiting belief, I mean, people use that term, they know what a limiting belief is, but you could think of it too as if I believe that if I do X, Y, and Z, bad things will happen. We may not think of that as a limiting belief because it's not limiting our ability to do something. It's just a complex equivalent that we've said this equals that. And that limits the behavior. And I would call that a limiting belief. So we could just say we have beliefs up there. And you can go on and on. You have the habitual behavior. You have habits. We have incentives and disincentives. And when we have an innovation or a project, we can simplify this. There's two kinds. There's projects that have to deal with falling down here, and now we have a problem and we have to get that fixed. So this is all hands on deck. Let's get it done. This one we've seen, we know what it looks like. We have the parameters. It's a little bit easier to resolve. These are harder because there are a lot of unknowns up here. There's a lot of unknown resistance that we have to get through. And as we get into it, as we venture into this, these things show up. Just like I was talking about associations and triggers. We have these reactions and responses and survival reactions, and people are now pushing back simply because they have a belief that says, if I do X, then A will happen. And they don't want A, so therefore they won't do X. And it could be completely false. We can say that if we are investing money and time in a project, that what we want is to move this up. I'm simplifying it, but hopefully you're tracking with me. And we want to move that up, and we want to have a new set. And this means that this is new. These are new behaviors that we need, and this is replace old. These two things have to happen for us to realize what we want to get out of this new project, this change. And so we talk about change management. Too often change management, if you think about a project, and I'll just draw it as a waterfall, even though I know that waterfall projects are not typically the way we're going because of agile, but just to make the point. So if you have something like design, build, test, implement. I mean, even if you're using agile, this is happening inside. It's just iterative. So you can do this and keep cycling through because we're actually getting some of the change management done. But the typical way of thinking about change management is we start thinking about it somewhere in here. And I would say that change management needs to start here. And that's why I use the approach that I use and the one I'm advocating. And this is what I talk about with dynamic leadership on the innovation side. Because if we do this on the innovation side, you're more likely to get the intrinsic motivation. You're more likely to have the change management. Your iterative build process will be much more informed, and you already have figured out what your frontline people are willing to accept, and you've done some testing because that happens in here. You don't build until you've done enough testing of the core beliefs of what you're expecting. And now we know that when we move this up here, we know what is needed new, and we know what we need to replace. And then you can have your change management process going along and continually to move up. So you get to your early adopters, you find your mavens, those people who are going to spread the word. You find ways to bring the late adopters, you find ways to bring them in and get some engagement. And you come up with other processes. Maybe people change jobs. Maybe you change the system